Hey guys, welcome back. Okay, right, so a bit of a change today. We've been doing a lot of Xbox in the last couple of weeks, and the 360 collection is still ongoing, so I will have pickup videos coming up for that. But today we're going back to my favourite generation, the 16-bit generation. So yes, the Super Nintendo and the Sega Mega Drive. Love both of these consoles, super nostalgic. Obviously my channel's called Snestastic. Super Nintendo is my absolute favourite console of all time. Now, last year, you'll know that I picked up a beautiful example of the Mario World Super Nintendo pack. I'm very happy to get that. That was the console pack that I had back in '92. Super nostalgic. I was really glad to put that in the collection. It's in fantastic condition. Got a very nice deal from another collector. But I also picked up the Altered Beast Sega Mega Drive as well. Again, in really nice condition as well. So I did really well with those two PAL consoles last year. But of course, it had to happen. If you've been watching me for a long time, I started on this YouTube journey with the American Super Nintendo. Now, I'm not going back to that, so don't worry. I can't afford to go American Super Nintendo. It's just too bloody expensive, which is unfortunate, But I would have loved to have done that. I would have loved to come back on here and made a video. And, I had this grand idea of doing a video where it was like, back in 2014, and then there's a clip of me going, I'm selling all my shit. And then now in 2025, and then we start the journey of buying American Super Nintendo games all over again, box complete in a mint condition. You'd have all thought I'd lost the bloody plot if I did that, because the prices have been insane. So yes, so we're not going that route, but we are going down the Japanese route. So yes, I didn't actually think I was going to get back into imports. Something I've thought about for about a year now. I've been looking into the import market and pricing in America and Japan and trying to work out if it's something I could even do. And then I decided to go down the PAL route, and I was quite happy to do that. But, I've changed my mind since then. And, in my previous video, I talked about the reasons why. So please, if you haven't seen that, go and check out my video about cartridge collecting in 2025. But yeah, I've become way more relaxed about buying Super Nintendo and Mega Drive games and where I buy them from, which regions, and which consoles I own as well. So I'm not nailing myself on now as just a PAL collector or a Super Famicom collector or a Japanese Mega Drive collector or a US Sega Genesis, or that would have happened anyway, or US SNES collector. I'm just a Super Nintendo collector and a Mega Drive collector, and I'm keeping it as simple as that and just buying what I want, when I want, from where I want. And so yes, recently I managed to finally get a good deal on a box Super Famicom. I've had a nightmare with this. I've been looking into it for about a year, on and off, checking eBay. I haven't religiously checked, but the price of Super Famicom consoles was all over the shop, loose boxed, whatever you want. I just couldn't seem to get what I thought was a fair deal on a box console. And unfortunately, most of them seem to have gone yellow. Like the front panel where it says Super Famicom, or in the UK it says Super Nintendo, that tends to go yellow. And also the controller ports go yellow. And that was what I was seeing quite a lot. And people are asking high prices, and if I'm not paying a high price, if it's got yellow, there's no point. I want one that's not yellow. And the grey one was going to be quite expensive. People were asking hundreds for them. I was like, they can't possibly be that expensive. I know from watching YouTubers who are in Japan that travel around the different shops in Akihabara, etc., and they got a lot of Super Potato and all this, that there's still quite a lot of them available. So there's something not right with the eBay. So I just gave up for it. I got to a point I thought, I'm never going to get one. Just stick with the PAL stuff, you'll be fine. But then, a few weeks ago, a seller listed a Super Famicom in the box for an exceptionally good price, and I couldn't believe the deal. It worked out, I paid £85 complete. That's for the console, DHL Express shipping, which took about 3 days, which blows my mind they can get from Japan to the UK in 3 days, and the VAT up front, and it fell below the threshold for import tax, which is about 135 quid. So I didn't have to pay that. So 85 all in for a box Super Famicom, and here it is. Lovely condition. It does have some wear. I mean, this is old, so you can see there's a little small tear just there. But I wasn't bothered. It's in really nice condition. The console itself is very clean. Hasn't got any yellowing to it. That's the main thing for me. The controllers are in really good condition. Everything's in lovely condition. 85 quid all in is a brilliant deal. So yeah, I was really happy with that. And I went ahead and just bought one game. So I haven't started collecting for it yet, but I just picked this one game up because it's the game I was playing the most on PAL region, and I wanted to test the console. So I got a game that I was playing so I could carry on playing it. That is Donkey Kong Country. I got it from a UK seller. In good condition, got a bit of wear on the box, but I'm quite happy with that these days. I don't expect them to be immaculate. You know, we're getting further and further away from this generation, so realistically you can't expect to get an absolutely immaculate condition one. I will take it out of the box, but it's actually in my Super Famicom. There you go, in lovely condition. Really happy with it. It didn't cost me a lot. I can't even remember, about 20 quid or something. It wasn't a lot at all. It might have been a little bit more, but yeah, love that sound. So yes, really happy to have Donkey Kong in there. I'll say Time Warp James gave me a beautiful example for my PAL collection. Absolutely blew my mind. So thank you again, James, for that. So I've been playing the hell out of that. I was playing it daily for weeks on end, trying to beat the game. So tough, such a challenge, that game. And then when I got the Japanese console, I thought I'd pick up the Japanese copy. It's nice and cheap, and I can carry on playing and test the console. And yeah, it's all working perfectly well. I've been really enjoying Donkey Kong. It kicks my ass a lot. I'm stuck on a section at the moment. There's about 4 or 5 levels before you get to the Candy Kong, and it's really hard. If you know the game, it's where you get to the bit where you get a minecart level, which is quite tough. But then you get the one with the room that the light keeps going off and on. You can't control the light; it just goes off and it goes black, and you have to time your jumps. And then you've got another one where you've got a barrel that has an on-off switch. Those set of levels, and you get to the last bit before you get to Candy Kong save. And that level is like really dimmed, but it's not pitch black, but it's close enough, and there's no light options. And so yeah, you have to try and struggle your way through it. I keep dying all the way through it, and yeah, you have to keep going all the way back. And the first level in that section is the underwater section where it's all green, which is a stunning level. But yeah, but fantastic game, really enjoying it. So Mega Drive, it's the other thing I've been really getting into as well lately. Now I have picked up one PAL Mega Drive game. I was going to keep this completely Japanese, but I thought I haven't picked up enough PAL games to really show a collection off or a pick-up video, so I thought I'd throw it in here. But I picked up this a few weeks ago now, and it is the Chaos Engine. I've been trying to get this for ages. You know, I missed out on one a few months back in around about February time that came up, and unfortunately I lost out on auction by about literally £2. Someone outbid me at the last second. But this one came up in really nice condition. Really lovely manual, cartridge is great, absolutely excellent. So the reason I wanted this, I own the Super Nintendo version PAL anyway, and I love the Super Nintendo version, but I had played the Mega Drive version on emulation before, and I know Stu Ninja Bear Hug has told me in the past. I mean, obviously he's a big Mega Drive guy, so he's going to say this, but he's always preferred the Mega Drive version of the game. But I've got to be honest, since I've played both of them a lot, I'm actually leaning more towards the Mega Drive, and I never thought I would say that. I think like the graphics are more dirty and gritty and arcadey. The music is fantastic. The only thing that really, for me, it doesn't beat the SNES on is sound effects and speech. There's a fair bit of speech missing from it. Like, it doesn't have food, for one thing. One of my favourite speeches when you pick up the food capsules. I love that on the Super Nintendo. It doesn't do it on the Mega Drive. And there was something else, I can't remember what it was, but I noticed that there was a couple, they put sound effects in instead of actually having the speech, which is a real shame because a lot of the other speech is there. So I'm assuming it's just a limitation of the sound hardware on the Mega Drive. But yeah, I think graphics are great on it. It just feels better, it plays better. The good thing is, on the Mega Drive, you have a difficulty level setter on the settings. You can change it. Whereas the Super Nintendo doesn't have that. It's just got one setting, and I don't know what I've got it set to, but it can be really difficult in places. Whereas the Mega Drive, I can knock the difficulty down, and it's a lot more accessible and a lot more fun to play. I also find that the D-pad on the Mega Drive as well, it works better for this game because it's sort of a little bit indented. You can roll your thumb around. I find that trying to hit the diagonals is a lot easier on the Mega Drive than it is on the Super Nintendo. But that said, both versions are fantastic. I still love my Super Nintendo version. I'm really glad to have it in the collection. Yeah, so really happy to have Chaos Engine on both platforms now, so I can play whichever one I want, whenever I want, which is absolutely brilliant. Really nice box. I mean, that classic Amiga artwork, you know, I do like the Mega Drive boxes, the way they lay them out. I've always liked the back, the way that they do the blurb and the way they do the screenshots. I've always thought that was really well thought out. Yeah, really glad to have that in the collection. So let's get onto the Japanese stuff, shall we? So yeah, Japanese Mega Drive is back in the house. Japanese Mega Drive, like Sega Genesis, is not a simple thing to buy. There's so many people that will tell you on forums, on YouTube videos, how to get a legitimate NTSC Japanese Mega Drive, because there are several different boxes, and there's the NTSC ones, and then there's the PAL Asian ones, and you have to look for all these different things. Like, it has to have a model number of HAA 2510. It's got to have a blue reset button. It's got to have trigger written on the remote, on the game controller. It's got to have the intelligent system thing written on the box. I think it's on the console as well, isn't it? Yeah, the intelligent terminal. It's also written on the console as well. So there's all these little factors, and it becomes a bit of a minefield to really understand what you're actually buying when you're trying to get a Japanese Mega Drive. Now, in the past when I've owned them, the simple thing I've gone for, if it ticks the box of having trigger on the controller, it's got the blue reset and it's got HAA 2510 on the back. And the only thing I look for then is the box. Has it got the handle on the box? Because I was always told that was the thing to look for. Now, there was a guy back when I started on YouTube in the early days of 2009, well, the late days of early 2009, because I started in August. But yeah, in 2009, 2010 era, there was a guy called Ian Wilson. Ian Wilson, 1978, I think was his name. Fantastic guy from Newcastle way. And he was a hardcore Japanese Mega Drive collector back then. He had a fantastic channel. Unfortunately, he's taken all his videos away now. I don't know if he's made them private or what he's done. Real shame, because I love going back and watching those videos. I think his gameplay videos are still up. It's just his pickup videos aren't there, which is a real shame. One of the best YouTubers back then. And he had a fantastic video back then that he made, where he went through the entirety of Japanese Mega Drives and PAL Asian Mega Drives and explained exactly what to look for. And it was a great resource. And I was looking for that video, and he hasn't got it on his channel now, so I couldn't watch it. So I had to go around a lot of forums, try and figure out what's going on. I was looking on eBay, and this is something weird. UK eBay, they don't tend to come up that often. And then if you do a worldwide search, it wasn't really giving that many results. But if I go to American eBay, I tend to get Japanese results, no problem at all, and I get a lot more consoles come up. Very odd. So I was looking into it, and I thought, I don't know what I'm going to do here. I don't seem to be able to get a good deal on one. Prices are a little bit varied. I want to be absolutely certain I get an actual Japanese NTSC console. And so I was sitting there when the Super Famicom came, and I got such a good price deal on that, and it was in such a nice condition. I said to myself, you know what? Why not just ask that seller? They're in Japan. Ask them if they can get you a Mega Drive. So I fired off a message and said, hey, do you sell Mega Drives? And they went, well, we don't, but I can source one for you. I was like, fantastic. And they said, just let me know what you're looking for. And I told them about the blue button, the trigger, the handle on the box, all that sort of stuff, which they probably get from Westerners all the time. And they're like, Jesus Christ, here we go again. But yeah, so the Japanese person, I don't know if it's male or female that I'm talking to, but that person helped me out greatly with this. They basically went out, found one. They said, oh, here's some photos. This is what I love about the Japanese, right? They emailed me back and said, okay, I found one. Here's some pictures of it. Here's some pictures of it working, so you know it's all legit. It's going to take me like 4 to 5 working days just to get this from wherever they're getting it from. When it comes, I'll fire you a message, let you know, you can go and buy it. Here's the price. The price was really fair and decent. And I thought, great, okay. So I went, yeah, go for it, do that for me. It was going to come with loose copies of Sonic the Hedgehog 2 and Golden Axe as well. So I waited for a week. I get a message on I wake up one morning, and they said, I'm really sorry, but I wasn't able to actually get that console for you. However, I have actually managed to source a better condition one in that's boxed as well. Are you interested? And it's the same price. And I went, absolutely, yes. Now, the one I got was this one. So, there we go. So the box is really nice. It's got some staining and stuff from age-related use. But overall, it's in really nice condition. Now, it hasn't got the handle. And it does have audio and visual intelligent terminal high-grade multi-purpose use on the box, same as the console. Another thing I was told to look for when I was reading the forums was that I'll just show you, where the Sega is there, there's supposed to be, I don't know if it's registered, I don't know what it stands for, the R in the circle, it's supposed to be next to the A. And apparently that's a legitimate Japanese console. If it doesn't have that, it wasn't legitimate. Now this doesn't have that, and it doesn't have it on the console either. So I was a bit concerned, thinking, okay, well, is this a real Japanese one, or is this an Asian PAL one? And I've seen the Asian PAL boxes, so I know that they're different. And this is more like a Japanese box. And there was another guy in the UK selling one without the handle. And I started going around down a bloody rabbit hole, checking out forums from years ago and reading all these different forums and different opinions. And it turned out, when I eventually found out, was that yes, apparently some of them were sold without handles, and they may have been later releases. They may have been reboxed, and that's the reason there's no handle on the box. So they are Japanese. But then I also went down the route of checking the serial number on the console, and I did a Google on that, and I found some Sega websites which listed all of the serial numbers. They list the variants, I think it's a VA and then a number. And it turned out this one's a VA4, and apparently if it hasn't got the R in the circle next to the A on Sega on the box and the console, then it means it's an all-Asia NTSC model. So it is legitimately NTSC, but it's not specifically Japanese, it is from Asia. So if anybody actually knows the real truth about what's going on with these consoles, please let me know down below in the comments. I'll be really fascinated to know exactly what I've got. Obviously, if I open it up, then it'll be very clear apparently as to what model you have. But so far the games I've got have all worked perfectly fine. The test will be when I pick up Sonic the Hedgehog 3, because I had what I thought was a Japanese console years ago, and I think it was a PAL one, because I remember getting Sonic the Hedgehog 3, putting it in, and it told me the game was region locked, and I was like, shit. So yeah, it's a bit of a minefield, but it's a fun journey as well, because I'm like that. I like to really dive deep and to really educate myself as much as I can when I'm making these purchases. And I just find it interesting to like dive in and to find out all these details. But yeah, there's so much when it comes to buying them. I mean, the English one's easy, the PAL Mega Drive, high definition graphics, Bob's your uncle. The sound's great, works a treat. You ain't got to worry about much. You know, just go with the Ultra Beast pack. You're all fine. But when it comes to Japanese and Mega Drives and Genesis, Jesus Christ, you have to jump through some hoops. Anyway, right, so I've got the console. The console is in absolutely fantastic condition. I'm really happy with it. I got an amazing price on it. That was $125 all in, box complete, posted DHL Express, just like the Super Famicom. I mean, I can't argue with that price at all. And again, just under the import tax, I didn't have to pay that. I don't even know. I mean, the VAT must have been included. I must have just missed that, because you do have to pay the VAT up front. eBay just mandates that, so it must have been in the price. So yeah, $125. Can't really argue at all. I'm really happy with that. And just as a comparison, the one that's being sold by a UK seller, it had an extra controller and an RGB SCART, so obviously that boosts the price up. And it had some loose games, I think. I don't know if they were loose actually. They said there was an array of boxing games. And I was trying to remember what was available. There's Evander Holyfield's one on the Mega Drive. I don't know what else it is. But it didn't have those pictured, so I wasn't sure what you were getting. And he wanted 190 quid for all of that. No, I mean, a good quality SCART cable from Retro Gaming Cables with postage is going to cost you, what, 30 quid? So if you put that on top of this, that's 155. And then obviously whatever games you put in with it and an extra controller. So it's probably not far off. So I think 125 for what I got was a fantastic deal. Okay, so that said, I have picked up some games, all from UK sellers as well. Yes, they are. Yeah, just checking. They are all from UK eBay. Got 4 new games to add to the collection. I was going to just buy one and test it like I did with Super Famicom, but they were good deals, so I just sort of went for it. So I've sort of started collecting Mega Drive Jack now. So the first one I picked up, these are all very obvious, cheaper end of the market, what you'd buy. All great games though. First one I got is Strider. Really nice box. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I don't think the box art is particularly brilliant. Either whichever region, the Western ones, the American and the UK ones, the bloke on the front looks terrible. So the Japanese one is slightly better, but it's not the greatest box art. I think the back looks really nice though. I think that's really well done, and the way they've laid the screenshots out. I think I love about the Japanese is the kanji all down the sides and all. When you put them on the shelf and you stack them up, I remember seeing Ian Wilson's collection back in the day, and he had a bookcase full of them. Really, really nice to look at. So there you go. Cartridge facing the right way, facing the manual. I hate when the cartridge faces the wrong way. Drives me insane. A couple of these games arrived with the cartridge facing the opposite direction. So I like to have the circuit board facing the manual. Yeah, in absolutely brilliant condition. I got this one from Jason over at Retro Games, so thank you again, Jason, if you ever see this video. Appreciate it. Next one I got was also from Jason. That one was Aladdin. So I've got this on PAL, been playing this quite a bit since I got the PAL version of it. But I had to get the Japanese full 60Hz experience because it wasn't that expensive. So why not? Again, in absolutely beautiful condition. Lovely and flat. I've turned the cartridge around, it's facing the wrong way. Yeah, really happy. I've been playing it quite a lot. You know, it's funny, Aladdin. A lot of people say the Mega Drive version is the better game. And I tended to agree. I used to always say that I prefer the Mega Drive version to the Super Nintendo. The more I play it though, I'm not entirely sure. I think like Mega Drive, yeah, graphically, it is far superior to what the Super Nintendo was doing. Because the Super Nintendo is just, that version is really just a Super Nintendo game, graphically. But the Mega Drive version, I believe it was the Disney animators that did it. The animation of that game is absolutely beautiful. It's such a stunning looking game. But sometimes I do feel when I'm playing it that they put too much effort into the actual visuals. The actual platforming of it doesn't really flow as well as it does on the Super Nintendo. The Super Nintendo games feels like it was designed as a proper platform. It's got a much smoother flow to the platforming than the Mega Drive version. It feels a little difficult sometimes, the Mega Drive, a little stiff. Yeah, not to say it's not a bad, not to say it's a bad game, because it isn't. It's a fantastic game. I love it. But I am I've completed the Super Nintendo one back in about 2018, I think it was. I've got a video on my channel talking about that. I do feel like the Super Nintendo one does play slightly better. The good thing is they're both completely different to look at as well and to play through. They do, if I remember rightly, they have different levels. And I think there's similar levels, but most of it's different. So two great experiences on two consoles. Can't go wrong. But yeah, glad to have Aladdin in the collection. Next one is obviously the game you have to have with your Mega Drive. Sonic the Hedgehog. I don't own a PAL copy, and I won't be owning the PAL copy because it's absolutely horrendous on the PAL version. Because of the 50 Hz speed, they didn't optimise the game. Oh yeah, cartridge is in the console. There you go. Great shape. Yeah, yeah. The PAL version is horrendous at 50 Hz. You know, there's many videos on YouTube that you'll see where they compare the 50 version to the 60 Hz version. I mean, the 50 Hz version sounds suicidal, like Sonic's going to slit his wrist. It's absolutely terrible, the music on it. It's a real shame, and obviously it's bordered to hell as well. So I had to. That is one game that there's no question I had to have it on 60 Hz. I own Sonic 2 on PAL, and that seems to be optimised. That seems to run fine. The music sounds great on it, and it runs smoothly. Of course, it's a very cheap game, so I will be buying the Japanese version as well. And as I say, I want to get Sonic 3 as well, and hopefully it'll work on this machine. Fingers crossed. So the last game I picked up is one that arrived this morning. One of my favourite Mega Drive games. In fact, I think this may have been the very first game I ever saw on a Mega Drive at my cousin's next door neighbour's house. That is Mickey Mouse's Castle of Illusion. Absolutely, so I love the box art on this one. I think the Japanese box is brilliant. Yeah, look at that. I mean, I just love those spines. Those spines are so nice. I know I'm being a bit blue tonic there because Alex loves his spines on games, but the Japanese spines are really special. And yeah, again, in fantastic condition. This popped up the other night, 26 quid or best offer, and I thought, you know what, in that condition, you really can't say no. When they say best offer, they weren't exactly being very flexible. I managed to get it for 25, but you know, a quid is a quid. You know, a quid saved is always a good thing. So yeah, really happy. Got my Japanese consoles. I'm going to slowly build those up. As I say, I am still really focused on the 360. I mean, that is the priority right now. I'm not going to lose sight of that and start going mad on the cartridges because it's an expensive game collecting cartridges, as we know. But you know, if you buy them every now and again, little bit by little bit, the collection will grow. Yeah, because the Super Famicom I could actually go mad on because the prices are not that bad at all. But I won't, so I'm going to take my time. So there you go. So that's the latest 16-bit additions to the collection. So yeah, those shelves are starting to get a bit full now. I've still got my gap for my PS2 as well. When I can eventually find a decent PS2 in the box for a good price, which is becoming damn near impossible, unfortunately. But I'll find one eventually. I'm just playing the waiting game. Right guys, well thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Leave your thoughts down below, and please, if you know anything about Japanese Mega Drive consoles, everything I've said, just let me know if I'm right, if I'm wrong, what the situation is, you know, what console I may or may not have. I'd be really interested to know some more information about that. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.